Want to auto-generate letterheads in Google Docs? Then this video tutorial about Google Apps Script is for you. We'll start out with a blank Google Docs document, head over to the script editor, and let's rename this function. You can give it whatever name you want to. In my case, I will be naming this function addHeader. And we will be accessing the active document. We will be getting an image from Google Drive. So we're using the Drive app service. And now we're getting the unique ID of this document. So we're getting the share link, but we will only be needing the ID section of the entire link or of the entire URL. So we're going to delete whatever is too much and we're left with the main ID section. Now we're creating the variable header and it's empty. So it's currently undefined because we will be now using it, and we need to define this before we choose our conditional, saying if there is no header in our document, then go ahead and add a header. But if you already find a header, so if at a certain point in time this document had already a header, then go ahead and get that header. So we either add a new header or we get the header, and then we append an image. Which image? Well, the one that we got from Google Drive beforehand. That is function 1. Now we're going to create a second function, addHeader with table, because we also want the choice to add a bit more of a complex letterhead. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to get our document, get our image. Here, I'm just being a bit lazy, copy pasting. Again, we're going to create that variable that we will be using afterwards. And since we're checking for the exact same thing, again, we're just copy pasting it. No need to write it all out again. But this time we're doing something else. So we're creating a table. So we will be appending a table to our header. And now here we have to use a two-dimensional array. And within that array, we have placeholders, Saperis Ltd, and 2nd Street, and the city. So what this will do is create one row with 3 separate cells containing placeholder, the company name, and the address. And then we want to identify the first cell. So that would be placeholder, that's 00, table get cell. That is accessing in our first row, our first column. Then we clear that first cell because we don't need that placeholder anymore, and then we insert the image. That is the way I chose to deal with the fact that I cannot insert the image when creating that table. So we then set the table border with the 0 so that no one sees it's a table. And to top it all off, we're creating an onOpen function. So this is a default function that you create if, like in our case, you want to modify the menu so that you can choose letterhead from the menu and you don't have to manually run this code. So you don't actually have to access the script editor. So we see the menu we're creating is a letterhead, and then we add 2 separate items. We name it add image, so that's what you're going to choose in the drop down of the menu. And then we have to specify which function runs. So it's the addHeader function. That means obviously if we want to make our second function choosable, we also have to add it here. And this helper text kind of gets in the way. So that's why if you just hit the escape key on your keyboard, you can make it go away. And then the last thing we have to do is add to UI. By the way, I made a mistake in my code, which we'll see now live in a couple of seconds. So what I did now is I refreshed the document, so reload, and that triggers it reading through our code, seeing, hey, there's an onOpen function here, and now letterhead appears. That's our menu that we added. Now we click on run, but first it needs to verify us. That's okay. That's normal. It needs authorization to run that code in our name. Now, in this case here, I do not quite know why, but it somehow got stuck here in the running script, which is why I then chose to cancel and then just to run it again. So that sometimes can happen. There you go, add image, and bam, we have an error message. So it's time to debug. So it cannot read the property of append image because it's trying to read, but it's null. So let's head over to script editor. And in case you want to detail about how to debug, I'll provide you with the link to a video right about now. So I'm setting a breakpoint and then I'm running the add header. So, okay, up until here it's okay. Let's enter. So it's in the else statement, that's also fine. But header is null. Header's not supposed to be null in this case. That's why it cannot append the image. Can you see the mistake I made? Have a look. There it is. My check can never be correct because I forgot the parentheses. Little mistake has a big consequence. So let's run it now. There you go. So that's the image that we're appending that we're getting from Google Drive. And the second version is having it all on one line, and I chose to do this with a table. If I double click, you can see this is a table. It just has border width 0, so no one sees it's a table. There you go, that's how it looks. That's how we were able to get that all on one line. Let me know what other simple tasks or workflow steps would you want to have automated. Maybe I could make a video about it. And since you're already on this channel, how about you hit the subscribe button below so that you don't miss out on any of our future video tutorials.